creatives, welcome back to my channel. Today we're continuing our 12 designs of Christmas, which are 12 designs all throughout December leading up to Christmas. If you've seen the rest of these videos, you all know. If you haven't, I have a playlist linked somewhere, the description up here somewhere. And today we're diving into the 90s. Now, I'm a 90s kid, so I grew up in the 90s, and the 90s were literally all about the 16-bit video games. The biggest game out there was Super Mario World. I played it, loved it, still love it. They still make new versions of Super Mario. So today we're going to be making Santa's Island of Misfit Toys as a video game in 16-bit. So it's going to be a little pixely. It's going to be made up of lots of squares, and if you really are interested in learning a little bit about 90s history and graphic design and want to see me design a video game around Santa's Misfits, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you to all of you who have subscribed. We have a lot more subscribers now, so welcome. Let's dive into Illustrator and illustrate some Misfits. Here we go. I am an illustrator. I have a tabloid-sized artboard just for now, and it's in the horizontal orientation because all the video games back then weren't perfect screen size. They were all horizontal. If you all remember, the 90s was when Photoshop first came out. So, ode to Photoshop, hello. I'm not in Photoshop today. I did think about it, but this is more adept for illustration. So, 1990 is when Photoshop started, and there's a whole bunch of nostalgia happening in the 90s. So you have a lot of conflicting styles, you had a lot of conflicting fonts like Elephant, Myriad, like interesting fonts like Comic Sans happening during this period. So the 90s were kind of like getting rid of some of the rules in graphic design and illustration, putting their own spin on it, taking away the constraints, taking postmodernism like to the next level. So you had lots of color, you had lots of opposing shapes and lines during this time. So what we're going to start with is the background. Now, since this is going to be an island, oh, by the way, there was also another font that I kind of want to use today. If you guys remember the game Street Fighter, if any of you remember that game, there was a font that was very famous in that kind of like genre of video games. Magneto Bold was pretty much that font. So there was also different variations and such like that, but I think that might be really cool to try out as well. Now, the island is definitely not going to be like a perfect island like you have on the games today where, what's it, Animal Crossing, where they have an island. So I'm going to do a very simple, very classic island color that they had, especially, I don't want to stroke, in the Super Mario World realm. Now, this is not going to stay a circle. This is actually going to be more square. But I wanted to start off with a circle first, and then I'm going to add some squares in here, give it some more edges. There was a lot of games during this era, so there's going to be a lot of different styles. Like I mentioned Street Fighter before. It's very contrasting to the game Super Mario World, because Super Mario World was cutesy and primary colors, and Street Fighter was harsh, and basically it was a fighting game. So, oh, also Donkey Kong as well. If anyone remembers Donkey Kong, oh my god, this is so nostalgic already. The 16-bit video games, everything looked pixelated. I'm just going to combine all of these shapes now. 16-bit island. That looks very convincing, doesn't it? So we duplicated it. I'm just going to bring it up, and I'm going to make it slightly lighter in color. Boy, this is looking very reminiscent, isn't it? For the color of the ocean, I'm going to do this color. Ooh, that's very bright, isn't it? But very 90s, nonetheless. Move it down to its own layer. I'm also going to lock that layer because we're not going to use that. Next, we're going to, I think it's a little bright though. Hang on. Let's unlock it, select it. There we go. That's a bit better. Not so intense. Alright, and now we're going to add the Misfits to the Misfit toys here. And for islands and such like that, they had very, very simplistic foliage around. So I'm going to select that color. So for the island, I'm just gonna make some little trees. And these trees are probably gonna be pretty much palm trees. I believe they would use triangles. I don't think that they would use spheres, really. Duplicate them, flip them using the align selection icon over here on the right toolbar. That actually is really good. That's a really good tree. The Island of Misfit Toys was pretty much Rudolph, and I think Baby New Year was also in there, as well as, I think it was the Yeti. Wasn't Frosty the Snowman part of it too? Frosty the Snowman is a snowman and he'll melt on an island. We're not gonna put him here. A little pond area. I don't know why you would have like a little pond, but on an island. But you never know. So let's create our characters. This is gonna be so much fun. Alright. We're gonna start with Rudolph. Rudolph is gonna be made up of rectangles. So we're gonna choose our island color, the dark island color, the shadow, and I'm gonna deepen it, and I'm gonna make Rudolph. In these video games, all the characters were either side profiled or looking straight ahead. So I think for Rudolph, I'm gonna have him look straight ahead so you can see his nose. And then for some of the other characters, I think I'm gonna make them side profile only. So we're gonna do that. And then he has a big square head, I think. Boy, this is looking very Minecraft. Everyone, Minecraft is very reminiscent of 90s style. There we go. We have Rudolph sitting here. Does Rudolph have antlers? I don't quite remember if Rudolph had antlers or not, but I'm thinking he does. I'm gonna duplicate that, make his eyes black. There we go. And I think I will give him antlers, so I'm gonna choose the island color. I'm gonna give him some antlers. There we go. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So there's Rudolph, and then we're going to create, I do believe, the Yeti. So the Yeti is pretty much like an icy blue, but pretty much like an icy white blue. And the Yeti, we're gonna do kind of like a half sphere with a bottom cut off. So I'm gonna start with the sphere tool. There we go. I'm gonna combine these two shapes, and the combined shapes toolbar. You know what? I'm gonna use Shape Builder, because if you just draw over them, the shapes will, will come together for you. And then of course, don't forget to convert to a path. Borrow an eyeball from Rudolph, make it a little bit more oval, and make it a deeper blue. Duplicate that. Yeti has eyes, and I do believe the Yeti had like a mouth with like really big rounded teeth, so I think I'm gonna do that too. Take his eyeball, duplicate it, bring it down, make it white. Whoops. Make it look like he has little teeth. So now we have our little abominable snowman, if you will. And then he needs a body. So let's give him a square-ish body. Now they always had like circles for their hands as well. Make that white so it gives him some differentiation. Alright, there's our abominable snowman, and then we have Baby New Year as well for this whole section. Okay, now for a baby, this is going to be a little bit tricky, but they did have some like rounded out edges here and there for the video games. However, I think everything was outlined with a stroke. Select him. There we go. So now that his whole body is one combined shape, I'm going to give him a stroke as well, because they just always seem to put strokes on like everything. So he's going to have a little bit of a stroke on him, so that way you can see him. And Rudolph is also going to have a stroke on him, but I think for him it's mostly going to be just black. I'm just going to combine all the shapes together and then give him a stroke of black. There we go. Going to bring his antler forward, change the stacking order by using the icon. And then these are going to be like the dark brown, I think. Alright, so Baby New Year is also part of their group. So Baby New Year is going to be very, very light. There we go. Mostly made up of circles because, you know, he's a baby. And then we have Santa's Island of Misfit toys right here. And I think what we're going to do is that they had to find his sack of toys. So they had to go on an adventure to find the sack of toys because Santa lost it. So it's over here. It's going to be hidden behind a tree, I think. They even had shadows in games. Like, wow, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? They were able to pack so much like little detail in these games. Alright, and then for all of this, I'm going to group it all together and put it on the island layer. I'm going to unlock it and expand it. We're just going to put it behind the trees. There we go. So they were sent to find it, and that is pretty much what they ended up coming out with. Now, you know what? Actually, I think I might add some detail in here because for some of this, they did have like shading, if you will, in the video games. Like it was pretty stark like this, but it was there. I can even take the color of this and I can give it a stroke of this dark brown and give it a bit more detail, because even though these shapes are very simplistic, these games are very detailed. Let's open up our layers panel. That was him. Let's delete this one. This grouping, I'm going to duplicate him across so we have our palm trees here. I think this whole thing is a little bit big. Let's do that. There we go. So what do you guys think? I think this came out really good. I think it's very simplistic, perfect for the time period. I could go in and do like little details on top of the island for instance, the water. Can add a few more details because they always loved to add like accessory details to this. However like small they may be, they always had like little details like this here on the ground and such. But what do you guys think? I think this came out so well, very reminiscent of the 90s. Our island of Misfit toys. I hope you all enjoyed this video and enjoyed the little throwback to nostalgia of the 90s. If any of you were born in the 90s or were a 90s kid, let me know in the comments down below. Give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you did like this video. And I will see you all in my next one, which is going to be the year 2000. So it's gonna be an interesting one. See you soon, creatives.